Ladies and gentlemen, you welcome to this edition of the Primetime Newscast on Equinox Television, live from our headquarters from Cameroon's economic capital, Douala. I am Bable Jonathan. In our top stories in this edition of the news, Anglophone detainees Mancho BBC, Pen Terence and Galim Felix get an additional 2-year jail sentence, adding to the 15-year jail sentence earlier slapped on them by the military court of Yaoundé. And in this other case, the vice president of the Cameroon Renaissance Movement (CRM) political party, Mamadou Mouta, also got 2 years slammed on him by the Kunu Court of First Instance in Yaoundé over the protests at the Kondengi maximum security prison in Yaoundé. Mamadou Mouta, vice president of the political party that came second during the last presidential election in the Republic of Cameroon, the Cameroon Renaissance Movement, has been slammed 2 years imprisonment by the Kunu Court of First Instance over the protests that took place recently at the central prison in the nation's political capital, Yaoundé. And besides the vice president of the Cameroon Renaissance Movement, Anglophone detainees Mancho BBC, Pen Terence and Galim Felix have equally been slammed a 2-year jail sentence by the Kunu Court of First Instance over the protest move, and this comes to add to the 15 years already slammed on them earlier by the Yaoundé military court over the Anglophone crisis, and their jail term now moves up to 17 years imprisonment, notably as a result of the protest move at the Yaoundé Central Prison and, of course, the Anglophone crisis, while Mamadou Mouta on his part is yet to be, his trial is yet to come to an end concerning the protest move recently organized by the CRM political party in some major towns of the country to protest against the deteriorating situation in the northwest and southwest regions of the country, electoral hold-up, and, of course, Cameroon's failure to organize the 2019 Africa Cup of Nations. In the meantime, in the southwest region of the country, authorities have continued fighting Operation Ghost Town and lockdown imposed by the separatist fighters, and authorities in the town of Kumba in the Meme division devising new strategies every day. Last weekend, they imposed a lockdown of 2 days, Saturday and Sunday, on the people. The 2 days were allowed free by the separatists for the people to go and purchase some goods, but the administrative authorities imposed their own ghost town on those days. Details with Sumanjik and Gebre.
There were many who turned out at the Kumba main market this Monday. In a queue after an extra 2-day lockdown imposed by the senior divisional officer for Meme, nearby inhabitants of Kumba were present to get foodstuffs. Cow meat, rice, onion, tomatoes, bread and wine were some of the things that were sold out to the population.
We organized this exercise just to spur and encourage the population to leave their houses and go about their daily activities. We at this juncture we are very happy since the exercise is successful. People went up and the turn up is very encouraging. So we are very happy. We wanted us to show our population that Kumba is not down. Kumba is up.
Apart from the auction sale that was going on, some business persons who courageously came to the market saw their shops opened by the Civil Administrative Authority. Notwithstanding the busy market, major streets in Kumba remained ghosted. The auction sale that was organized this Monday comes after the 2-day lockdown imposed by the Senior Divisional Officer for Meme Division, Chamberlain Ntu Ndong.
A little above 1 week into the 2019-2020 academic year, the Senior Divisional Officer of the Indian Division in the southwest region of the country says the situation of school attendance in his area of command is gradually improving by the day, and the numbers are gradually increasing in some of the schools in his area of command. Derek Jato reports.
The attendance atmosphere of a class Monday in Mundemba, the divisional headquarters of Indian Division, day 1 of school resumption in Cameroon, and the attendance of that same class Friday. With a reasonable mobilization also being recorded elsewhere in the division per the administration. For Wang Lawrence, the Senior Divisional Officer for Indian Division, says comparatively his division is responding positively to the back-to-school call. Talking in Mundemba after his last rounds for the week, the Commander-in-Chief of the division congratulated bikers and other business operators in his division for not respecting Ghost Town, called by the separatists.
Having taught Mundemba Central Subdivision today, we saw that many stores are open. We also realized that Okada boys have not observed the so-called Ghost Town. And I want to say that ghosts have their places where they are supposed to be.
Week 1 of the 2019-2020 academic year is, however, history. But observers say the weeks ahead are still undefined, as the separatist moves and mission to an extent is having its mark printed on what is called ground zero.
And with regards to the situation that has continued deteriorating for close to 3 years down memory lane now, some traditional rulers are on a peace crusade in the 2 Anglophone regions of the country. The traditional rulers' peace caravan was in the southwest regional chief town, Boya, over the weekend. Derek Jato once more fires in details.
The National Caravan for Peace and Living Together, a body constituted of traditional rulers drawn from all over Cameroon, arrives the southwest region. This zone is at war, reason why this chief's convoy had an exceptional security. The military forces know the separatist fighters are here and they could hit them at any time. The 2 days peace crusade took these traditional rulers first to the southwest governor's office to register their presence to Governor Bernardo Kaliabilai, the governor of the southwest region. Then the flashback of what is now a war situation from the southwest chief's perspective.
We Anglophones, our children, have come to wake us from sleep that why are you going to slumber? Don't you think you deserve your own fair share of the cake? All of us share with that. Our only problem as traditional rulers is that our children have taken an action that is not supported by us. We'll be looking for the same thing, but the way we are looking for it is what we as parents criticize. And unfortunately, when we parents criticize, they take us for being against them.
Professor Mfo Agbobechem, the traditional ruler of Ashum village in Upper Bayan subdivision, Manu division, also tabled how the crisis has affected him personally and his village to his fellow peers from other regions.
Me, for instance, my people even went as far as saying that I even entered an amok car to be pointing at my children, selecting my children who should be killed, and houses in my village that should be burnt. I mean, some of those messages come like some of your distractors will want to give a dog a bad name to hang it. There is no father who would recommend death for his child if the child commits a fault.
And his story is familiar here.
You get any traditional ruler, the same complaint, the same thing they're saying all over. The traditional rulers have black legs.
The chiefs also said the Anglophone crisis is affecting everything here in the region.
Almost all of my villagers have withdrawn their children from the villages, rented houses in Douala, Kumba, Boya, where there's safe ground, and they take all of that, spend now more money to send their children to school than normal. Now, what of those who cannot afford? That is where our problem is.
After listening and leaving the situation, His Majesty Mbasi Besala Prosper, the National Caravan Coordinator, sees tolerance as a big step out of this blood-sucking crisis.
Let us sit together, be tolerant, to accept the difference, so that we can make sure that Cameroon will move forward.
So now, only fear that again.
And the population of the region, on their part, say whatsoever action that needs to be taken should be taken now. For a good action applied late will save no purpose, for people are dying.
Here in Cameroon's economic capital, Douala, the senior divisional officer of the Douala 4 municipality, Jean-EKOA MBARGA, has warned students and pupils in his area of command against the consumption of illegal drugs, other ills, and of course juvenile delinquency in the schools within the subdivision. And he was speaking while visiting the schools, most of whom are receiving a high number of internally displaced persons from the two Anglophone regions of the country, and so measures are being taken to avoid all sorts of unwanted circumstances that may be disastrous. Details in this report by Innocent AZEH.
The tour of the civil administrator of Douala 4 in his area of command aimed at ensuring the school year has kicked off on a good note, and for students to get his message of discipline and bury acts of juvenile delinquency 6 feet.
C'est terminer les vacances, maintenant c'est le travail et la discipline. Celui qui veut passer en classe supérieure, il sait qu'il doit être discipliné et travailleur.
He wants students to stay away from drug and liquor consumption.
On ne vient pas à l'école avec des drogues, des tramol dans le sac ou des whisky en sachet. On vient à l'école avec les cahiers, les livres et les pics, le matériel scolaire.
That respect be accorded teachers and in general school authorities.
C'est pour ça qu'on vient à l'école.
Nonetheless, school began effectively and voice of hitches in the Douala 4 subdivision.
Divisional officer for Douala 4 was a gateway to ensure that there was effective back to school, and it was an effective back to school. Classes are effectively going on.
While the school year enters week 2, school administrators, as way to sympathize and assist internally displaced children, beg parents to send their children to be educated.
I would like to say to those parents who face this crisis, this Anglophone crisis, to approach us. We are there to help them because we know it's not their fault. The crisis is there, so we let them come and explain their problem. We will try to solve it.
Internally displaced children who have been admitted in some schools are given preferential treatment irrespective of their difficulties and lack of valid documents for registration.
We have special teachers who take extra care to ensure that they are well placed. We are the little that we can do, at least we are able to receive them and then we can move forward from them.
We take them as our children. We don't make any discrimination.
We give them some scholarships. We give them some concession. We have even hosted some of them at the proprietor's compound because it has a very big compound. So I think we are taking good care of them at the level of Emergence Bilingual College.
Still during the Geo tour, school officials re-echoes to the civil administrator some of the difficulties they face, citing bad roads leading to schools, lack of potable water to serve the needs of students.
If you were privileged to use this route, it is a nightmare. It's a boarding school. Parents come here to visit their children. It is not easy. You need to come and drop them. So we still plead that you will use your position to meet with the council. If they can only throw, we are not saying they should tar the road because they can't tar the road. If they can just throw just laterite along this road, it will help us. And we also have another principle, that is water. We spend a lot. We have to forage that. We need electricity to be pumping, and it is costly, costing the school a lot.
Jean-Marc MBARGA, in response, said the projects have already been approved and the promises when funds will be disbursed, works will immediately commence.
Est prise en compte par la communauté urbaine. Mais sauf que depuis qu'il y a la crise dans les régions.
He added, delay is due to the Anglophone crisis and Boko Haram problem.
Ça fait donc tout.
Concerning the issue of water, he promised to discuss with the Director General of CamWater for a solution.
Je vais le voir pour lui dire de faire quelque chose pour alimenter votre secteur en eau.
Fingers are crossed to see the nightmares turn to joy in the shortest time possible.
From Douala to Nkonsamba in the Mongo Division, littoral region of Cameroon, where we're going to show you the challenges faced by persons living in swampy areas. Hermine ILOUGA reports.
It is a yearly experience based on the remarks made by the occupants of Ebom 1 in Katiawit, precisely a neighborhood situated in Nkonsamba in the Mongo Division of the littoral region of the country. At rainy season, the once dry inlets turn into pools. Drainages, which are in a limited number and others inundated with dirt, leaves the lanes hijacked with the rainy water. The dwellers are fed up and have been expressing their disgust with regards to the situation.
Casser et faire les drains, les grands drains et casser le pont, les deux ponts et les élever et lancer en plus en grande hauteur pour que l'eau puisse passer.
Contrary to the reasons the people advance, administrative records have it. Construction has long time ago been forbidden on this terrain due to its swampy nature. Faced with the natural mishap, the mayor of the area took on temporal initiatives to pave better canalization and adapt other means to survive the floods.
Puisque nous sommes tous concernés, puisque nous sommes inondés, nous avons été avec eux dans la pluie, nous avons pris des premières mesures, sécuriser, isoler tout ce qu'il peut y avoir comme courant électrique qui traînait par-ci, par-là. S'assurer que les veilleurs qui sont dans les différentes maisons sont mis à l'abri, et même les petits-enfants et autres. Voilà un peu les premières mesures que nous avons prises. Maintenant, nous avons sensibilisé les populations quant au dispositif qu'il va falloir mettre, le dispositif de veille qu'il faut mettre en place, et c'est le cas jusqu'à présent. Nous y sommes, comme vous le constatez, nous sommes encore dehors.
With these rains, it's visible enough. Some houses were in-depthly torched, leaving some occupants quit their homes for other safer zones. As for the rest of the population, they had no other option to battle with and in the rains so as to have the neighborhood more accessible while waiting for the rainy season to come to its end.
Out of Cameroon, Nigeria says it will repatriate some 600 citizens from South Africa after a wave of xenophobic violence which led to tensions between the two countries. And Nigeria's Consul General in Johannesburg said some of his fellow compatriots will leave on 2 flights Wednesday. Consul General Godwin Adama has said only those who are under distress as a result of the attacks will have to leave South Africa. And the head of Nigerians in the diaspora, Bike Dabiri, says the government will not provide financial assistance to those leaving South Africa, but the Nigerian government will continue to hold the South African authorities accountable and insist it pays or they pay compensation to its citizens. And for several years, South Africa has been a major destination for economic migrants from other parts of Africa, but with an unemployment rate of 28% today, many nationals are blaming the fact that they can't find work on foreigners who are in their country, and many persons who came into South Africa with high hopes are today living with fear of repeated attacks. Courtesy Dutch Welle.
When Nelson Mandela came to power in 1994, Saddam Malego left Somalia for the Rainbow Nation to escape hunger and misery. He built a new life as a shopkeeper in Johannesburg. Today, everything is gone. On October 30th, 2018, an angry mob stormed his shop and home and burned it to the ground. Malego managed to escape, but his girlfriend died in the flames.
I see I don't have anything anymore. I lost my girlfriend, I lost the house, I lost my container, I lost everything. So I was telling myself that let me die already. But the Greek community take me outside. They say no, don't go there. So I survived.
The incident was just one of the 139 documented shop lootings in South Africa in 2018, motivated by xenophobia. Every month in townships like White City near Johannesburg, African-born foreigners are victims of violent hate crimes. Many locals think they are responsible for low wages and job losses. We meet a xenophobic gang who often target foreign-owned stores. Its leader calls himself Gaddafi. To him, foreigners are not just easy targets. He holds them responsible for his own misery.
You go to Johannesburg right now, every corner you go to, it's a foreign person that's working. That foreign person where he's working, it's a job for a South African who was supposed to be working there. South Africans now, they are dependent on grant money and money from government. It's not that people, they don't want to work. The people, they want to work, but there are no jobs there because the foreigners, they are taking our jobs. So obviously we are gonna rob them.
This neighborhood is controlled by gangs. Even the police don't dare enter the slum, which is built on top of a dump. Only drugs help make the residents' lives more bearable. They project their frustrations onto foreigners who they believe are better off.
I have to do this thing. If I don't do it, then my family will suffer and my gang will not eat. You see how many troops and soldiers I have. My soldiers must eat. They must smoke, my soldiers. So what will my soldiers smoke if I don't have anything?
We start doing it, we pray.
We'll eat you alive, my friend, and we'll pray to the Lord to forgive us because He knows we don't have jobs.
Malego has restored his old shop. He hopes he will be able to restock soon. But those responsible for the death of his partner still have not been found. Malego says the police did not want to investigate the murder of a foreigner. He still fears the culprits might return at any time.
Peace talks between the Sovereignty Council of South Sudan and opposition groups are going on in the Juba. Former enemies, South Sudan's President Salva Kiir and of course the opposition leader Riek Machar meeting face to face, and of course representatives from both sides and a delegation from the Sudanese government took part in the meeting today, and the talks are aimed at reviving a stalled peace agreement signed a year ago for the resolution of conflicts in the Republic of South Sudan. That's it for this edition of the news. Thanks, ladies and gentlemen, for staying with us.